The Dove Network welcomes you to the following presentation of Double Dropkick Podcast.
Yes, sir. It's Tuesday night. Double Dropkick night. Right here on the Dab Network. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you are doing awesome. Hope everything's going great in your neck of the woods. In our neck of the woods, my farm has been kind of destroyed. We'll get into that a little bit. Had some terrible weather. Terrible weather. How was your week? A lot of people complaining about new belts. Oh my God, there's WWE's got more belts. No, what are you gonna do? Just like AEW. God, man, I swear, this millennial generation would complain about their own farts. Had a great show last week. We got a great one tonight. Matthew Goldberg. That's right, he was creator of the Goldberg show. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. Professional toy photographer. Especially looking at the ones that he's doing with figures, wrestling figures. I'm going to talk about his stuff, his business, his pictures. Maybe get some tips to you tonight. I'm going to talk about a little bit of belt stuff with him too. A little bit of wrestling. Find out why he was an advocator for Vince McMahon pooping on everybody. I don't know. Just what I heard that he was an advocate of that. I don't know. Just kidding. Just kidding. For those of you new joining us, welcome in. Welcome in from around the world, from New Zealand, Australia. There's a Thailand coming in there. We got Germany, Russia, the UK, Italy. See up there in Canada, Mexico, all over the US. Welcome in tonight. It's going to be a great night. Going to have fun. Going to do it upright as we always do. We'll talk some other stuff as well. We'll have the Double Dropkick Picture of the Week. We'll talk WWE Hall of Fame, the new belts. We'll also get into Picture of the Week, like I said, and the WWE new belts that are coming up, and we'll have that on the second half of the show. But we can't get started at all without knowing who my sidekick is. But first, I'm KV Kev. And please welcome in the co-host of the Dropkick Podcast, Mr. Ethan Thompson. What's up, buddy? You're on mute. You go on mute more than anybody I know in the whole
I get
world.
the kids and I try to make sure we don't pick up any noise, and I get the mute, but try to be considerate. That's all I'm trying to do.
I see you got the Voltron on the shelf behind you.
Yeah, you got some salvage. That's
nice.
I had to.
Oh yeah!
That's what I'm talking about.
I got a bunch of Rangers figures I just picked up on a really good deal.
Okay.
I got all 5 Rangers. I got the Zordon, Rita, and a couple other figs. Picked them all up for $175. So I'm not gonna complain.
Need some Thundercats.
I'm working my way through my toy. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I've been watching some old 80s cartoons that I watched, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, God, this kicks anything that is out today or has ever had been. The 80s generation, just the cartoon, the way they were drawn, the way they were written, the way they were done. It's like I look at some of these, and I'm going back on the kids there. Why do we have no thought process anymore for creating cartoons, for creating new characters, creating new lines, writing? You draw like I drew in kindergarten. I mean, it's just, and you go look at those 80s Transformer cartoons. It doesn't have to be that hard.
I restarted my own Saturday morning cartoon ritual. Now, before I even get out of bed, I fire up the laptop and I'll watch like an episode of the old X-Men cartoon. Right. I'll watch an episode of like the old Spider-Man cartoon. Then I'll throw in some I was a big DuckTales fan, so I'll throw in DuckTales.
Woo!
So you get your blood flowing. It just
that was 90s. So
yeah, that was 90s, but you get your blood flowing.
Early 90s. I was doing Transformers, some He-Man. G.I.O. You just, what happened? What happened to this world?
I think people got scared of failure, and it really crippled the imagination and the willingness of people to take a plunge on do something original. So they go to safety and they just keep regurgitating the same thing over and over and over. That's why we have remakes of remakes of remakes now.
Yeah, nobody can think up anything. Nobody can think up anything. What's up, Jerry? What's going on? Hernandez, welcome in. Welcome in, Andy Bolger. How's it going, buddy? There is Nick from CBB. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, don't crash, Nick.
Hope you're doing well. Yeah, that was pilot error. There was no tilt in that plane coming down. It was like this, and it bounced on the runway. There was no wind. There was no nothing. You're just a bad pilot.
Oh yeah!
And you know so much people.
There's been a freakishly large amount of plane crashes in the first 2 months of the year.
It is. It's Tuesday. Mark Maggard, Richard Ward, Ben Walker,
Benjamin.
Well, the last 3 years prior to this, we had the highest ever in near miss incidents. So it's just coming up. I just think we need to do a lot better training. What's going on, James? Oh, Keith Leathercraft, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Platinum, how you doing there, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Got something for you in just a little bit. We love you. Ethan loves you as well. There's Platinum Ethan.
Yes, sir. I am Jason. Deeply, deeply sorry for your loss, because you know what? I turned a leaf when it comes to being an animal person.
Chris, welcome in. Hello, everybody. Everybody, welcome in. Make sure you get up to the DDK bar. Lane can't do it without you, buddy. Christopher Rains in. Go up to the DDK bar. Grab you a drink. Comment as always, because you are a part of the show. Ethan, you got to tell them why are they a part of the show and what they have to do.
You got to like. You got to share. You got to subscribe. Because you know what? We're here for you. This show's for you, about you, and about the things we love.
Absolutely. Because each time you comment, you are a part of the show. Your comments are respected on here. We do this all for you guys to have fun. We're going to bring on our guest here in just a minute. I do believe that the limo has pulled him up. Let's see if it's in front of. Oh, yep, he is arrived. There it is. So they're getting him all inside. They're going to get him a drink, get him a little tipsy. We're going to steal all his figures. We're going to steal his figures while he's here. We're going to rob him all of his figures that he's taking pictures of.
I'm just going to steal his camera.
Well, You can
the
do that,
figs.
but I
I'll
don't
take the
want a
camera.
felony. I don't want a felony. Those cameras can get pretty pricey.
I know some of these figures now, though. They get pricey too. So
Yeah, that is true. Bonkers
Bonkers.
going up. Can't do it without you. Mark Maggart in the house, host of Spending the Globe
Bully.
podcast. We'll talk about it in just a minute. Austin, good to see you, buddy. No, you can hashtag whatever you want in here, man.
No, feel free,
You don't
bro.
need to apologize. You can do whatever you want in that
Family,
chat.
man. Your family.
Just no vulgarity and things like that. That's all. Yes, DuckTales was great. Richard says every Friday and Saturday mornings. Yep. My brother, I remembered it was after it was in syndication, but he used to love to get up at 6 a.m. because on one of the channels it was Dukes of Hazzard came on at that time from 6 to 7 a.m. and he was right there in front of that with his Fruity Pebbles, with his tray. Bless Jeremy, my brother. He passed away back in 2015. But he used to love the Dukes of Hazzard. He loved the Knight Riders, and he'd watch the Dukes of Hazzard. I love Dukes of Hazzard. I still have the series. I mean, that's just a fabulous show.
It's just such in this Looney Tunes is the best.
Too many dark shows. Yes, Looney Tunes is good.
Hey,
Too many dark shows.
I'm gonna go on a limb. One of the greatest produced movies, one of the greatest production movies of all times. Hear me out. And as a dad, a Goofy movie.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, everything was simpler. Everybody didn't have a vendetta. Yes, the Ghostbusters. Yep. It was a great cartoon too. Man, Belts in the house. What's going on? Good evening to you. Well, thanks for joining on. Pretty cool logo you got going on there. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Yes, Darkwing Duck was cool.
Dude, I even love Captain Planet.
Denver
the Last Dinosaur.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Hey, everybody that's watching right now, please go scroll right down just a little bit with your little finger or dash up on your dial. Hit that thumbs up. It's the only thing I asked for you tonight. If you want to comment, you can be a part of the show. If you don't, then that's fine. You can just watch this ugly guy here and this gorgeous gentleman to my right with a fabulous beard. But make sure you hit that thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. We, are 5 months, going on 6 months, get a little over 1,100 subscribers. We're new to this on the YouTube part, so we are thanking part of that. We had our 500 subs giveaway. We did a belt, and that soared out there, and we were very appreciative of that. And now we got to do one for our 1,000 subscribers, so that is coming up. But first thing you got to do is check out one of our friends over at Spanning the Globe Podcast. They are every Thursday night, 8, 7 Central, on the Wide World of Belts YouTube page. Check them out. Mark, Andy, Ben, and Richard. They do a wonderful job over there. Spinning the Globe Podcast every Thursday night, 8 p.m. 7 Central. Check them out this week. You give it up. What's their topic for this week, Ethan?
I don't know what the topic was, but I was just going to say, let's get them to 500 subs because Mark Maggart has upped his game. Mark Maggart has come in my inbox right now and said, if we get him to 500 subs, he will come to your house in his nude attire, in his red jacket, and do a belt re-leather for you.
Oh, pretty please.
My goodness. I have their topic. It's where did all the white doo-doo go that dogs used to lay? It's a pretty interesting topic. Where's it all out? You guys also got to check out one of our favorite guys, C4 Authentic Belts. They are the only one partnered with Crumb Rind themselves, giving you the fabulous Crumb Rind belt, actually done by a silversmith, the brother of the original silversmith that worked at Crumb Rind. They are in official partnership with Crumb Rind. They have the cast pieces of the wrestlers and the stone holders going on their belts. The C4 Ortiz Crumb Rind Big Gold. Check them out today. They are unbelievable. You got to go and hit them up. C4 Authentic Belts and C4AuthenticBelts.com on the web. Hit them up on Facebook and there. Colin is a great guy. C4 Authentic Belts, taking you back to like it's 1986. Hey, we are also on Instagram, Double Drop Kick Podcast. Give me a follow over there. I give stuff away there. And on X at DDK Podcast. DDK Podcast on X and Double Drop Kick Podcast on Instagram. We give away stuff over there. We have a great time doing it. It is a blast. And I believe our host is ready, but we got to go and we got to, do our thing and get into DDK mode, don't we? We got to hit it. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring on our guest right now. Our guest is a professional toy photographer. He has a great Instagram page that we will talk about tonight and some of his other outlets he does. We'll find out if he is the actual Goldberg or did he hijack that and was just a popular guy in school because he had the Goldberg last name. Because I would have done it. I was like, yeah, I'm a Goldberg.
Especially with that show. I love that show.
Yeah, I would have. Oh, it's an absolutely fabulous show.
Barry Goldberg was comedic genius.
Yeah, it was absolutely a fabulous show. I loved it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give your round of applause for professional toy photographer and all around Mr. Awesomeness, Mr. Matthew Goldberg. What's going on, buddy?
How are you?
DDK
Thanks for having me.
Welcome in. Throw up those DDK rock and rolls in the chat and let him know he's welcome and loved here. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Good to meet
you.
you.
How are you? Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So we got to dispel the rumor because it was on my notes that you were involved in the Vince McMahon pooping scandal. Is that true? Or not?
Of course.
Okay. All right. just as long as we know that. I mean, I like it too. So we just want to make sure
you were as my notes said, you were lead photographer in the Rolling Brownouts. If you don't know what a Rolling Brownout is, just go ahead and Google that. We'll let you catch up.
Oh no. Everybody's still commenting on the awesome cartoons it is. Did you have a favorite cartoon growing up there, Goldberg?
Oh man. Well, I'm a 90s kid, but one of my go-tos always would be SpongeBob, I guess, growing up. So
how can you not?
My wife and I love SpongeBob, so still do to this day.
I hate it mostly, but I like to watch Jim and the Holograms as a kid. I'm not familiar with that.
I don't think I've heard it.
I am either. But yeah, Rugrats, SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, all those as a kid for sure.
Okay, yeah. My daughter.
Maybe he meant Jams because my sister used to love a show back in the day called Jams, and they did like concerts. It was more of a girls' show, but she watched all the time. I don't know, maybe.
Yep. People still hijack names. I think he did. Any relation to the Goldbergs?
No, well, maybe somewhere in the bloodline, I guess. I gotta acknowledge my Goldberg.
We told you. Well, then,
chief, I guess. So
very a distant cousin.
$10,000 check's gonna bounce. So, welcome into the program. What'd you think of the limo ride over and all the drinks and everything?
Thank you.
How was
very
that?
nice of you guys.
They treated you well?
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We spare no expense here. So let's get billed for it later. But before we talk about all that you do on the toy photography with the wrestling and figures and other type of figures, where did you get we'll start your just because every kid had love for toys, but where did you get your love for wrestling? What's your earliest memories of wrestling as a kid?
Sure. So I always usually say around 4 years old, I think, because my dad, he grew up watching wrestling with his brothers and stuff. And so he would watch it when I was younger. And then I got into it. And it's one of the very few interests I guess I have. Like toys and wrestling are just like a huge part of my life. So it's something. And wrestling's become a huge part of my life, to be honest. So, but it's something my dad and I especially have bonded over the years. So, but collecting figures since I was a kid and still do, as you could see behind me and on my Instagram and stuff, and it all changed my life, which we could get into, of course. But yeah, I've been collecting forever, pretty much.
So, what was the earliest memories that you have of who was it that you started liking and that you remember immediately off of what era was it? Do you remember that?
Who sucked you in?
I grew up. Go ahead. What did you say? Sorry.
No, I said who sucked you in. Who was that guy?
Jeez, I would say probably at early 90s for me. So, I was a Hollywood Hogan fan. I loved Undertaker and of course Bill Goldberg. As soon as I saw a wrestler with my name, I was like, that is so cool, So he was my guy, of course, too. But Sting, Gangrel, like Goldust, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels.
Goldust, throwing out some Goldust in there.
The Rhodes, the whole family.
That dude was just weird as crap.
Oh yeah, he was. I just miss like all the gimmicks and stuff that used to be around back then.
They were
That's so
so
fun.
great.
So fun.
That's why I
As a
think it's
kid, like they're larger than life, like those goofy characters. So,
that's why I think it's what's his name who's so comical right now on WWE who always provides just the funniest moments. What's his name?
R-Truth.
R-Truth. God,
Yeah.
that dude's a national legend, man. I mean, he just and it's so stupid what he's talking about and doing, but it's so freaking funny. It hits right when you're talking about it, and I like it a lot.
Amazing he's still around too, considering how old he is now. So
he's been around quite a while.
yeah.
Everybody's. We'll talk about this because this was a hot take tonight before we get into stuff that everybody was saying. Miz deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I say, not right now. No, you've not done enough in my book. But
I haven't even seen that. That's really interesting to hear that.
I mean, for a lot of people were like, it was posing a question and it was kind of caught fire on Twitter. I'm like, don't you have to wrestle more than one time a year for you to be considered, something? And
that's really interesting.
The bar has been demonstratively low getting into the Hall of Fame. So, like, now that we're trying to raise the bar, no. If we're keeping the bar back where it was 5 years ago, yeah, he'd probably be in the Hall of Fame. But
yeah, we're gonna
raise a little.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss after Matt goes off tonight. I don't care if anybody doesn't like me. Horrendous announcement of what's her name going into the Hall of Fame. I can name 50 wrestlers that should be in. I mean, that was a kickback, and it's starting to say, look, you're doing the same dumb crap that Vince did. I thought we were going to have some different takes and different things on that, but I don't care what she unified. She wasn't around long enough. She didn't do enough. She didn't create enough.
I don't even really remember her career, to be honest.
Nobody did, because I was like,
I know her name and her, of course, but I couldn't tell you a moment like I remember of hers. So,
and why do you know who she is?
Because of the Undertaker, of course. So that's why she's still relevant, I guess.
Exactly.
Not to knock her, but
exactly.
I mean,
because usually great wrestlers, when they go off into the sunset, they're still involved in some types of things, and just never saw her. I mean, great. You were just because you unified a title or you won the first unification title doesn't mean that there's plenty of people that have won first titles that I don't think are Hall of Fame. I think we need to, even in all professional sports, we've got to. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be elite of the elite of the elite, doing things that nobody else did. Just because you won a couple championships or do a couple things. Troy Aikman shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. That type of thing. But so when you grew up, those of your favorite wrestlers you did, when did you start getting into the toy realm of, was it immediately on? And do you remember your first figures that you got as a kid? Do you still have any of those?
Yeah, no, they all live, those ones at least live at my parents' house, would be the Bone Crunchers and the Hasbros and the San Francisco Toy Makers LJN style WCW figures. Those are all my first that I remember as a kid, and they're in horrible condition, which saddens me. But as a kid, you don't think of any of that stuff. Now, like, I keep them all in the best possible condition I can for my art, But yeah, those are my first ones that they've seen way better days, but they still live at my parents'. So it's fun to look back at them for sure.
How come you don't have them at with you? I mean, I would think that you'd want your first figure to have them, or does your dad still play with them on the low key?
He might, for all I know. But no, I have a massive wrestling figure collection, action figure collection for that matter. My wife is a really, really good sport, but our basement is just filled to the brim with them. So I don't, I have to first find room for all the new stuff that keeps coming out every month, But yeah, my parents have been super generous with allowing me to have some space to keep some of that old stuff there. But
so maybe one day get in. How many do you have? Do you have a number now of the figures that you have in your collection now?
Like in terms of wrestling, or just as a whole?
Let's say wrestling. If you could understand how.
I mean, it's got to be well over 1,000, I would say for sure. Because you're talking 30 years of collecting essentially. Like as a kid, obviously, I wasn't getting everything, but
Can't believe somebody agreed with that, man. You're killing me. Miz deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
so random to even have him in conversation for Hall of Fame, you know.
Matt throwing a fire tonight.
Maybe in the real world Hall of Fame, but you know,
I don't even really think
MTV.
Retired, you know, but
yeah. So overall figures, how many figures do you have?
Oh, geez, a couple
I could name
thousand at least.
50
I would
wrestlers
guess.
that have that.
Yeah, it's got to be maybe, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000. If I had to guess, if they were all
God.
Maybe, I don't know. I could be way exaggerating, but I don't think so. 'Cause I just have like huge collections of different stuff. So.
I was saying, does that count your Funkos?
Yeah, I would say they like in front of me. What you can't see is a whole wall of them too. So those things like wallpaper, but.
What makes the critique of staying in the Matt Goldberg room? Nope, this figure stays with me. It doesn't get put away. It doesn't get giveaway. Because I imagine you get figures sent to you all the time that you eventually give away or do things with.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. It's kind of a running joke with my mailman, to be honest. So.
Oh God, you better buy him a card.
He's bringing a box to the door or whatever, you know. But yeah, it has to be like a character maybe I really love a lot, or you know, just something like I've been anticipating so much that I finally got my hands on, you know, that they announced forever ago and it's finally here. So but it's hard, you know, because I don't have all the space to display everything. So it's complicated. I mean, I have like cube shelves in our basement where certain stuff lives, like, you know, if custom figures are made for me or whatever that, you know, a lot of my super talented friends in the community have worked on for me, like those get displayed because, you know, they're very unique. I don't want them to get ruined, you know, in storage or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know.
So where did the love of figures turn into? Because we've had Figure Kingdom on, who I think is also a spectacular photograph. Where did the love start? Of let me take figures with him. Where you did the things as I did as a kid when we first got little cameras. Whenever we were marching them out in the rings and did the wrestling things and made the things. How did that love turn into the passion that you have now? Where did that all begin with filming them and taking pictures of them?
Sure. So when I was in middle school, I'm 34 now, but when I was in middle school, I was in an after school like video club or whatever, and one day they showed us how to make stop motion animation, and they said you could like bring your toys to life or whatever, and I was like, that is so cool. So I learned how to bring like an action figure to life, and then I started making animated videos and sharing them with like my friends or family, neighbors, whoever the hell I could get to actually sit and watch one of the things I made at the time. And then one day, my cousin's friend who worked for a toy company, I think at the time, suggested I check out YouTube. And I didn't really know what YouTube was at that time. You know, social media was so fresh. This was like 2006-ish, I think.
Right.
Which is very weird to say now, but so I started putting them on there, and you know, people around the world started seeing them and enjoying it. And then I did wrestling ones, and I started my own like wrestling figure fed Crash Collision Wrestling, and then that just blew up for me. And even Eric Bischoff found it at one point, and that like totally changed my life from that point. But
the one break gets you kick started. Yep. What was his comment, or what was his? Did he mention you, or did he show your pictures, or message you personally, or what?
So he sent me an email. He actually found it on accident when him and Hulk were doing Celebrity Championship Wrestling, and because my show CCW is the same acronym as theirs, and he found it and he loved it, and he's like, I want to work with you or whatever. And I was just a kid in high school, and like I got this vague email from a TV producer. I'm like, I was with my dad, and my dad's like, okay, like ask who this is, like who is this person in your inbox? And then they're like, oh, I'm Eric Bischoff, and we were both like, yeah, right. Like it's not Eric Bischoff in my email inbox right now, and he gave me his number, and my dad called with me, of course, to make sure it wasn't some wacko or whatever. And sure enough, it was him. And he was appearing at Ringside Fest that year. This was in 2008, I think. And my dad took me to go meet him at the signing, and then I got to know him. And then I was studying film in college or whatever, so I went to the University of Tampa in Florida, and then Eric and Hogan went to Impact Wrestling in Orlando. It's like an hour and a half away. So I hit him up and asked him if there's like any way I could have like an internship or something with them. And sure enough, he got me an opportunity, and then I had like full access backstage to everything to Impact. And like every month I was going down there to be like an intern, and then eventually they just kind of let me do whatever I wanted. And because I was studying film, I was in a documentary class, so I asked, like, can I make a documentary with some of the wrestlers here? And I became really good friends with Elijah Burke, the Pope D'Angelo De Niro, because he collects and stuff, so we bonded over that. And I made a short documentary with him. And then for my senior project, I did one with Victoria Ortara, Lisa Marie Varon. So her and I became really good friends, and she lived here in Chicago at the time, so I could see her when I was back home too at her restaurant and hang out with her. And my life just totally changed from that point on. And I went on to do some animated videos for WWE for about a year for their YouTube, which you could still see those on their channel. I think it's like Action Figure Showdown or something, I think is what it was. But yeah, and then I have so many stories of how fortunate I've been of just this hobby of collecting and making content. And then, as the years went on, I just started to do photography, and then I got to work on the AEW toy line for a little bit, doing photography for that, and then working with Mattel and all kinds of stuff. So, and I'm just being super vague right now. There's so much more to it than that, but this is all literally just from posting some animated videos on YouTube as a team. So
when did you know that? This is kind of taking off. Was it that moment when you got that message from him and it just started creating from him?
Yeah, I had reached out to. Are you guys familiar with Jeremy Padua from Jazzwares and Jack's Pacific at all, or anything, or no?
I've heard of the name with Jack's.
Okay, so he started like the WWE Classic Superstars toy line at Jack's way long ago, and he had a site. And as a teen, I reached out to him through his site and just sent him my work because I thought he'd find it cool that I'm making videos with their toys. And so he gave me like an influencer kind of opportunity as a kid before it really became a thing in society. And then so that was kind of a first break I had. I got to do stuff like the UFC toy line a little bit, and but then Eric found me, and my show was already taking off by then. So like people were really into the show and that I was doing just for fun. And then I met Eric, and then I went away to college, so it was a lot harder to produce content because I'm in school all the time. And but I pursued this passion of film and marketing and stuff because this was so successful for me that I wanted to see if I could do it for a living. And then now social media marketing is a thing, which is what I do for a living now. So I get to make content for other clients and brands and stuff. And it's really fun. And, I just started doing photography because it's a lot less time consuming than making videos all the time. And, I guess I kind of helped start like that part of the toy community too. The wrestling toy community, I should say, because it's the group like Articulated Comic Book Art, if you guys are familiar with that, where people do the Marvel and whatever toy photography. And I was like, this is cool. I want to do this at wrestling. So I started a group of people I saw doing wrestling, and then that like blew up, and now it's such a big part of the wrestling toy community. So, it's just been really fun to see what all these hobbies have really turned into, and people like Figure Kingdom, my friend Manny. So it's nice that, you have friends that do the same thing as you and just have as much fun doing it and inspire each other and everything like that. So
yeah, I mean that's what we started this show is as belt hobby, and we branch out to everything that incorporates it, and it just is a passion. We don't look at it as anything as work. I do this because it's fun and it's an enjoyment, and if you keep doing that, it becomes fun in each and every time. And then before you turn around, you build a little bit of a community and stuff. Matt says hey Matt, long time since the blog TV days.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a real throwback, blog TV. So I was doing like this essentially like we are right now, but just talking to fans and followers and opening figures live on camera back before Instagram and Facebook had all the streaming abilities and stuff. And so it's really cool that Matt's kept up with me that long. That's a long time ago now. So
Vinny says one of the original beginning members from Wrestling Figures Anonymous from Vinny.
That's awesome. Very cool. Thank you for coming.
He said, did he mention he's a Chicago local?
I am a Chicago suburbs local, I should say. So northern suburbs of Illinois. But what'd you say?
Are you a Bulls fan then?
To be honest, my dad probably wishes I was, but the only sport I've ever been into is wrestling, to be honest. So he's a huge sports fan. That's never like clicked with me. Just wrestling and toys really are my go-tos. But
made prank calls on the blog. Oh my!
I don't even remember that, but that's really funny.
This video, we were going to dabble in some of the stuff and it kind of started when the guy was doing the bad news from whatever. We were going to start and I kind of ditched it because I didn't want to seem like I wanted enough time to wait to where because that guy was starting the bad news where he calls people and gives bad news. We wanted to give people bad news on the wrestling belts from Pakistan, and we were going to be Pakistan people, and we were going to make, hey, this is CS, this is one of our CS, man. It's a horrible accent, but anyway, we're going to get somebody better than that. We're going to use AI to do it, but we're going to tell them their belt was sent to people that are horrible in the hobby, and we still might kind of do that, but we kind of pushed it back because that guy that does I forget what his name is, something
I know you're talking about. Yeah,
breaks bad news. That is so hilarious. I mean, the dude just does it with no recourse whatsoever. He says, nice to know, local wrestling fan from there you go.
For sure.
So what goes in, where do you get your inspiration? I guess from just watching wrestling, you see things like, ooh, that would be a cool shot to do with a figure. Tell us what goes in to creating something like we see here. Where does the information, where does all that start? Like where does the brainstorming, is it from I would guess from just watching wrestling and, oh, that would be a cool shot with a figure.
Jump to before that, jump to the equipment. What do you shoot on? What do you use? What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use
like a flip open Kodak. You know that. a Nokia's flip phone. It's a Razor Edge.
But
it's a Razor flip
phone. God.
The T-Mobile Sidekick.
No. People do it with iPhones though, which is pretty impressive in my opinion. I use a Canon EOS M50. It's a decent camera. I mean, it's not like the highest end camera, but you don't need like the super high end cameras. An iPhone doesn't give you as much control over the image, but the quality of the image is just as up to par as a DSLR, I would say. But yeah,
that image.
You like that one, my Christmas one?
One of my favorite ones you did was the Kevin Nash and the Undertaker coming from under the ring.
Oh yeah, that was a tough
love that one.
Honestly. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, right, so that you were telling us about your camera and your equipment, your lights and stuff. What else kind of stuff like your hat, like you have to have for just about every shoe, your equipment, you know, is it Elgato poles, Elgato lighting? Is it some other type of
Sure.
lighting? Is it, you know?
What
Yeah, I
software do
use
you use?
sure. So I use Loom Cube lighting.
I,
Usually 'cause they're the little lights, you know, so they're perfect.
I
Yep. Yeah, they're
love that.
amazing
I have
for toy photography because you could get right in the spots with them. There you go. Exactly.
That's it.
Good old
This
Loom
thing
Cube.
is bad A. I mean, bad
I
A. And the build
They're
quality is
expensive, but they're well
absolutely
worth it.
amazing.
They
I
are.
could,
They're a great
I could kill
investment.
you if I hit you with this in the head. It sits so solid.
They honestly, like, I love their stuff a lot, so I
Yes,
highly
they are
recommend
great.
it.
They're great.
As far as software, I use Photoshop really. Um, you know, sometimes Lightroom, but I haven't used Lightroom enough where I feel like confident about it. But I do everything in Photoshop, and you know, I work in it every week to the point I've you know, just perfected my skills so much that, and you know, I'm still learning. I love to really push my boundaries with my shots, so it's fun to try things and see if I can actually pull it off with a figure. So
So your inspiration.
sure, thank you. So inspo, yeah, usually. So I'll watch. Of course, you know, there's so much wrestling to watch these days that it's hard to watch everything. But you know, I'll do my best to watch a little bit every week, and then I follow a lot of the professional wrestling photographers that take, you know, shots ringside or at the events or whatever. And sometimes I'll see a shot they took. I'm like, oh, that would be really cool to recreate. Um, you know, in figure form, or sometimes there'll be a move like, you know, if Ringside Collectibles sends me some figures, like, hey, can you make some content with this? Like, okay, like Swerve or whatever. What can I do with Swerve? What are some fun matches he's had lately that I could look up? You know, what are his signature moves? Like, Teeny A Blast here. Pardon me if I butchered his name, but like, I don't know anything about him, so I had to research about him and figure
Right.
out like what his move set was, and be like, okay, that's something I could recreate with him or whatever, you know. So, um, yeah,
It's just the lighting and everything that you get on these is just absolutely incredible. How do you
thank
get? I'm guessing you use fishing line to get these things set up. How does that
yeah,
go on? And what are you hooking it to? Have you ever made? I tried to look and I couldn't see any behind the scenes things. I see some things, but have you ever done anything? Maybe I've missed it, and I'll have to check it out of showing what goes into a setup and how long it takes you,
yeah.
so that people don't think that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
post your setup, and then you have your how-to, how I created the shot.
Yeah, so I have there's some on Instagram, like you have to scroll way back through the Reels section, but I had a YouTube series both on my channel, and then WrestleZone.com picked it up for a little bit. It was originally called Snapshot on my channel, and then it's called Figure to Photo on WrestleZone's channel, but I think I have them all linked on my YouTube channel as well. But that was a behind the scenes series I was doing. And then you know, with how busy I am these days, it's just hard to make videos often. So, and people always want to see behind the scenes of my stuff, which I'm not like afraid to show anything. It's just like either I forget to film it, or, you know, or I'm just not in the mood to put together a video to show the whole process. But for me personally, I would say, if a shot takes me like an hour, that's like a good thing. But if it takes longer than an hour, then, you know, I'm having a hard time with it, I would say. And not everything translates well to toys. You know, they are still limited, even though they have a lot more articulation these
right.
days. You know, they're
Love that
still
one.
limited. Thank you. Um, but yeah, you know, I'm just always pushing myself to try really unique things, such as like the Mankind falling from this perspective versus the one we're so familiar with of over Undertaker's shoulder. But
When you do that, what are you hooking your fishing line up to? Do you have a whole setup of a like a lighting graph? What do you call it? Grapplers or but the bars or the is
Like
that what you're hanging
scaffolding,
over?
or
Yeah.
yeah, so I have a lighting rig above my setup, And then I actually, when I was a kid doing animated videos, I took a tripod I had.
Sorry to cut you off. It's just your lighting is spectacular of where it hits.
Thank you.
That's what
Phenomenal.
sets you guys that do this, like you and Figure. It's just you guys look at his feet, look at the lighting on the back, and you can even see the camera light burst up here. And then you can see the rays coming down, and then this highlight with the shadows is just. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
No, I appreciate it.
It's just spectacular how you hit the lighting.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that.
Well, see, and now I'm sitting here going through memories of like, have you done this? Like, have I not seen this? Because like, I'm thinking, my mind right now, I'm thinking like Undertaker Yoko when Undertaker's in the match in the casket at Royal Rumble, and the lights go out and he's raising up to the rafters. There's just endless possibilities of what you can do.
Jason said you use mini trusses. Any trusses?
So for at least the string work, so I took an old tripod and a yardstick, and this is an idea I came up with as a kid, to hang the fishing line down. Because like my friends who would do animation too, they just hold it with their hands and then take a picture. I'm like, that is so hard on your back because you're like hunched, and the figure's swinging or whatever. Like it's just a lot of work. And that was just a contraption I came up with to make it easier on myself. And now, Figure King, there's so many people use that technique because it's just so much easier on us, where you're not hunched over all the time just trying to hold 50 things. So and then with the power of Photoshop, you just edit it out and, you'd never know it was even there. But so I guess that's kind of like my mini truss system in a sense. But then, like I said, I have like a lighting rig above that just helps illuminate.
I love that one.
Thank you. That shot honestly was a pain in the ass to do.
What made this difficult?
The illusion of them, because like a wrestling ring, a toy ring has like the full platform under it. So like the newer rings have like the wood planks, which make it a little easier to do something like this because you could pull out a section. But at the time, like I hadn't fully looked into like a support system to hold the ring mat up to keep the illusion that the base of the ring was still there, because in reality it was not. Like they're just kind of standing there essentially through this hole in a ring mat, and then like the ring mat was sinking a lot, so I had to like find a way to kind of keep the mat like behind them right there under Undertaker's arm, like where it's wrinkled and stuff. Like finding ways to support it to keep the illusion was tough. But
now, have you ever done anything with the Yoko Undertaker casket match?
Not yet, but I can.
If not, I would love. I'm just throwing it out there.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of that match. I would love to see some.
Sure.
No, you can keep doing this one over and over again. Getting this guy to me is overrated. Keep kicking him in the side of the head. Dude's so overrated.
But the artistic eye you have to do this anyways, because we all have those friends that like, hey, I'm a photographer, and you look at their stuff and you're like, oh,
no, you're not.
Yeah, and
no, you're not.
There's still that weird quirky side of your brain that like I draw, so there's still that weird quirky side of your brain that has to function, because you could look at this and you could be like, yo, I want to do. Have you done Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon bedpan?
That's actually one I really.
That's another one. I'm just throwing it out there.
One I want to do. For sure.
But you look at it and you can see it and you can visualize it, but the execution's got to be there.
Correct.
And you execute it so well, which is it's just phenomenal.
Now this was done in your. You said you're with the flame there. You added that in.
Yep, it's all digital. Yep.
You added that in Photoshop.
Yep. That's
you
what
were able
I did.
To do that with Photoshop.
Yeah, so I lit them, the lighting like on Terry's abdomen and stuff, like that is real. I had to put shadow and stuff, or light and shadow and stuff on them to sell the illusion that when I put a flame in there, it looks like there's actual light coming off the flame.
That's what I'm talking about. That depth of thought to go into that. It's your brain works a different way. You're wired a different way.
Correct.
And I love it. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. No,
The ability to remember the referee to be going like, to remember that it's a flash, and he's like,
I appreciate you guys just
but I
even
like the referee's like,
noticing.
I'm still watching, but I'm covering. I still see you.
Well, because like you said, because like I draw, and Kevin's a very, very talented guy. He does all these overlays and all this computer stuff, and that's one thing like I wish I had the patience for, but you still see it from an angle of creativity, and that angle of creativity just shows, and it's just like,
yes, he is.
Dang. I mean, I attempted one of these pictures, the best I could ever do, and I was happy. I was ecstatic with it, but that was my highest achievement of a picture that I've done.
Do you sell actual moments pieces?
Like prints or whatever? Is that what you're
I like the way you think of that, Jason.
You know,
right?
That's smart.
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
That's
if you're referring to prints, yeah, I've sold a lot of them, to be honest. People love collecting them. So if you ever want one, just hit me up. You know, I won't charge out the ass about it. You know.
No, I'm talking about make your money, bro. What about charging out the ass to make an actual like diorama of like what you're selling? You know, they're glued into place or however you want to do it.
Oh,
you know,
I've never thought about that, to be honest, but that'd be interesting.
Oh, that's smart too. You should come up with a rigging system that you kind of sell on it. Say that'd be kind of smart too. Oh,
yeah,
that'd be neat. Everybody's liking it. They also, I think maybe he means the prints. Do you mean the actual figures too from some of these moments from the shots and be like, hey, I got one of these. It's from the shots.
That's what I'm talking about. Like actual figure, the whole diorama. Like make
sure,
a little,
like the scene as a piece, like an art piece. No, that'd be really cool. I never thought of that.
No, it's like limited. If you do limited numbers,
me and Ethan are first.
We get that discount.
Jeez, producer. Can I ask you a frank question?
Sure.
I hope these companies send you stuff absolutely free because you deserve you shouldn't be buying a figure. And if any of these companies out there are making this dude buy your figures, you are 100% certified DDK. Yeah.
I get, I'm very fortunate. I get a lot of stuff for free.
That's awesome. It's well deserved. It's well deserved.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, they want me to create stuff with it, to get people excited. Like, wow, that figure looks awesome in that picture. I really want to go buy it now.
So I'm not trying to get into too much of your business. Do these companies come to you and hire you to do things like figures, collectibles, and wrestling figures? I mean, some of these.
Yeah.
Do they hire you to do some of these things and pay you to do some of this work and stuff that we see? Is some of your work? Who have you worked with in doing things for them?
Sure. Oh yeah, I'm partnered with a lot. Ringside Collectibles is one of my biggest sponsors. Mattel is another one. They just gave me the tat actually this week. But like I was saying earlier, I actually got to work on the AEW toy line for almost 2 years. So I was shooting all their figures for them. Like some of my photography is actually on some of the boxes or whatever that for some of the items, that was like a dream come true for me. But a lot of my photography lived on like Target and on Amazon and all that stuff, so it's really cool.
You're becoming more famous Goldberg than the Goldbergs,
right? But I'm one of those people who always give props to be able to live a life of creativity where you can do something where
gotcha. Hit him up, yeah.
You're being creative and you're not having to slave away at the conventional 9-to-5 job, and you can allow that creative. Dude, props on you, bro, for just finding that niche and running with it.
Thank you. It's hard, to be honest. I can't say that I had to give up my 9-to-5 to do it, but I do this on top of my 9-to-5 essentially. But I've been very fortunate with, getting to work with childhood heroes, like TNA and stuff, and getting to have my photography on a figure box. My photography was in Pro Wrestling Illustrated 2 years ago or whatever. Like, that was surreal. I just been super fortunate, man. It's wild what this hobby's turned into, and I'm forever grateful for
Can you
everybody
stop
who
making us jealous? You don't have to make us jealous, man. You don't have to drop me in.
Right?
I mean, we're on the DAV
just
network.
the love
What
of
do you think
wrestling figures and wrestling.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, me and Ethan are on the DAV network. What do you think of that? I mean, no, I think it's great because I look at it like you like doing it as maybe a career or profession or job or doing it, but you also want to find that fine line of not burning out. You don't want to burn out. You don't want to be going into doing a photo shoot and being like, oh, God, I got to do this. The same way when me and Ethan, started doing this show. I mean, people don't understand what amount of work goes into research, planning, production, lighting, creating things, creating overlays, creating the things that you see just up there, the pictures, the picture that we sent you, that we get a lot of help and Stephen Hammer chips in an awful lot with him. Do you know Stephen Hammer, the YouTube guy? That does the belt reviews and whatever. He's a legend on YouTube. But he does. It's when we wanted to do this for fun, but a lot of work goes into it. But you want to draw that fine line to where I don't ever want to sit here and be like, I got to do DDK tonight. I got to make this, or I got to do this. It's that fine line, right? That you don't want to take the love out of initially what got you into loving these figures and loving wrestling.
Correct. And that is something I'm very protective of. It's like a second